Beware, because this week's astrology has its fair share of treats and tricks. My name is Comet, and welcome to Just Your Magic Monday, particularly your Magic Monday astrological forecast for the week of October 30th to November 5th, 2023, where we are discussing, just as we do every single week here in my cosmic corner, with a cosmic beverage in hand, not always with a pink wig on our head, but we'll get to that, what your week ahead forecast looks like, how you will feel the astrological transits and ingresses, aspects, and stations as part of your daily reality. And furthermore, what we really focus on here on Magic Monday is how you can co-create with the cosmos in order to live your life with more magic and more alignment. And firstly, I just want to say congratulations, my love. We have gotten through the final eclipse. Let me know how the Taurus lunar eclipse was for you. And as we know with eclipses, it's a time of major transformation, major changes. So it's not to say the moment after the Taurus lunar eclipse, everything reverts back to normal. But what I will say is that we go from the boiling hot temperature of eclipse season with major changes and transformations and intensity and emotions and this frenetic pace of life. We go from that boiling hot temperature to the further and further that we get away from the Taurus lunar eclipse and to the Scorpio new moon, the temperature begins to come down 1 degree at a time. So some of you may certainly be feeling some of those intense eclipse season feels, but what I will say is that we are officially in October 2023 eclipse season recovery period. It's an integration period. Now, because the cosmos likes to keep us on our toes, we do have some shakeups within the week ahead. So it's not that all of a sudden things go to perfectly calm. We're in Scorpio season after all. And furthermore, we also have a harsh Uranus aspect this week. So Uranus opposes Mercury, which can create unexpected messages from people who reach out to us out of the blue. There can be news that creates a little record scratch moment within your life where you're like, wait, what? There can be something that you hear or a conversation that you have that is out of the realm of what you would expect it. Like Uranus's tagline, after all, is expect the unexpected. Because it may be Halloween, but you know what's a little bit scarier than ghouls and vampires and zombies? Saturn. If you are familiar with Saturn, you know that's a planet you don't want to mess with. And this week we have Saturn stationing direct. So Saturn basically freezes in its tracks at 0 degrees Pisces to begin to review the degrees that it's been essentially traversing through since really March 2023, but it did retrograde in June 2023. So when the planet of discipline and karma switches directions, that's a reverberation that we feel. And there can be some heaviness as you feel Saturn shift, as well as this weight and this reminder that we truly do reap what it is that we sow. So Saturn's question for you is, what have you been sowing? And are you ready to reap it? If you have been cheating on tests and thinking that no one would find out, you know who saw you cheating on that test? Saturn saw. And again, I'm never going to be a fear-mongering astrologer. I really don't believe the cosmos are anything to fear. But what I will say, that if you think that you got away with something, if you thought you were being sneaky, Saturn is now retracing its steps to review your actions and just ensure that those consequences catch up. Now let's say you've been waiting on karma. You're like, hurry up already. Like, I have been working tirelessly on this project, on this skill, with no discernible outward accomplishment or reward. Or if there's somebody within your world that you're like, how do they keep getting away with this? This is so messed up. All I'm saying is with Saturn stationing direct, consequences, both good consequences and bad consequences, are beginning to sharpen into focus. Now, additionally, with this week's astrology, very on point with the very imaginative, not of this world energy of Halloween, we have Venus opposing Neptune. Now, Neptune exists in the domain of muse and imagination and projection and delusion. So there is this strong pull this week to just get lost into a daydream, whether that's a daydream of our lover's eyes, a daydream of an art project, a daydream of our own making, about our crush. There is a strong pull to essentially escape into the Neptunian waters of imagination and of fantasy. While this casts a very dreamy rose-colored tint over our week's astrology, it's deeply important to remain grounded, which, may I say, Sun opposite Jupiter is not helping with whatsoever. So we have a lot of tricks and treats within this week's astrology, and we will chat about all of it. But before I do, I want to welcome you in into my membership Magic Monthly. This week we enter a brand new month, which means brand new magic, brand new challenges, brand new opportunities to co-create your destiny. And within Magic Monthly, there's a couple of different tiers with offerings that you can utilize in order to really weave astrology into your daily life in order to make every month magical. So the first tier is the Comets tier, which is just supporting the channel. And for that, I absolutely adore you. Thank you so much. The next tier is the Planets tier, which every single month I craft you a digital as well as printable calendar, which designates all of the aspects that we will experience with little icons that signify what certain energies are really good for, what you need to be cautious of as you navigate that month. In the Galaxies tier, I create a digital astrological planner that has detailed information on every single transit that we will experience within the month ahead, co-creative opportunities for each, opportunities to customize it to your chart so that you feel where this energy is coming alive for you within your universe, as well as some other resources such as new moon and full moon guides, habit trackers, things of that nature. So you can check that all out by clicking the join button on YouTube, where there's also a link within my description to jump in. And if you're part of the Magic Monthly community, thank you so much. I adore you. And without further ado, let's go ahead and take you inside my cosmic cafe. So my loves, what are we drinking? How are we getting into the spooky spirit? Are you drinking from a cauldron? Are you drinking something bubbling? I'm so sorry, I am not. I just have a pumpkin Americano with a little bit of cinnamon and almond milk. So cheers to the new week. And let's just address the elephant in the room, or should I say the pink wig in the room? I just want to say the wig is giving very much wig. I'm really not a wig girl, nor am I a bang girl. If you wear wigs or if you have bangs, I have so much respect for you because I'm really uncomfortable right now because I am neither. So the wig, why am I wearing a pink wig? Who am I? I don't think anyone will know who it is that I am, but I just had to give a shout out to my girl. I'm dressed up as the Pisces character from a now defunct computer game and doll series called Zodiac Girls. And I just want to know, did anyone play this game? Did anyone have these dolls? This was such a huge part of my childhood, and honestly, something that deeply fueled my obsession with astrology throughout my youth. Not a lot of people know what this is, but I just had to give a shout out to my girl Pisces because they were all it girls. They were all baddies. Like, are you kidding? There was like a different character for each of the signs, and there was also dolls. I never had the dolls. I just played the computer game, and they were all just like it girls. I wanted to be all of them, but connecting with my Pisces character helped me really love the sign and love being a Pisces. Like, this was really something that educated me a lot on astrology. This was such a cool website. I literally would spend hours on this, learning about all the signs, playing games on it. Like, I don't think it did that well, but I swear they were before their time. They were right before astrology like exploded. So can we all write to the makers of this computer game and of these dolls to tell them to bring them back, because I miss them personally. It was such a huge part of my youth. So I just want to give a shout out to Pisces. I am a little bitter because I did order a Pisces necklace and I had it, it was here, and then it just poof, gone, which if you know astrology, you know that is incredibly on point with Venus, the planet of beauty and adornment, right? Jewelry opposing Neptune, which is make-believe and dissolving into nothing. So literally my Pisces necklace has dissolved into the abyss. So I was a little grumpy about that, but I needed to film. So please forgive me that I don't have the necklace, even though I bought that particular Pisces necklace. But anyways, I would love to hear, what are you being for Halloween? And what is your big three? And is there a connection between the two that you discern? I would love to know. But without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into our vibe check of the week. So welcome to Vibe Check of the Week, a segment that we do here on Magic Monday, where we essentially get you familiar with the overall vibe of this week's astrology by likening all of those transits that I was telling you about, from Venus trine Uranus to Venus opposite Neptune, Saturn stationing direct. We compare all of those energies to a real life scenario so that you can somewhat tune into the emotions, the feelings, the events, the dynamics that may come to the surface as you navigate your week. So in this week's vibe check, we'll say it is a crisp fall afternoon and you have nothing much to do at all, and the weather is finally getting cool enough where you get to break out your favorite sweater and you decide that you want to walk over to the park, pack yourself a little picnic to go read Sylvia Plath poetry. We'll say you brought Ariel along with you to read while you're there, to just be kind of mysterious and moody. So you pack yourself some cheese, maybe some wine or some tea, whatever you want to bring with you, to have yourself a little fall picnic. Because again, Sun opposite Jupiter, Venus opposite Neptune, these are energies that are about romanticizing our life, seizing these moments of afternoons with nothing much to do to go do something otherworldly and romantic, even if it's just on your own. But you're not on your own, because when you go to the park, you set up your nice little plaid blanket, you break out your picnic basket, your stereo to play your perfect fall album. By the way, please comment below, what's your favorite fall album? And you know what I'm talking about when it comes to fall music. I don't know, I swear music has particular seasons, and there are certain albums and I'm like, oh, this is such a fall album. So I'd love to know if you resonate with that. I know some places in the world it's spring, so favorite spring album. What's the album that you're loving right now? You play that, okay? And you notice someone's looking at you. And as you begin to settle into reading your book of Sylvia Plath poems, you look back and you see it's someone who's around your age, who's very, very attractive. And they have their own kind of like fall picnic vibe set up. But instead of reading poetry, they're scribbling something, and they have this very pensive look on their face. They're very mysterious. You're like, who are you? I've never seen you before. What are you writing? So within your mind, you're imagining, oh my gosh, they must be writing all of this beautiful love poetry, or they're writing a short story, or their novel. They look so deep in thought. And the longer you're there, the more you begin to fantasize about this person, the music that they listen to, what it is that they're writing about, what it is that they do as a profession, as a career. And you are basically painting this picture of everything that this person is before they even say a word. And you decide, you're feeling yourself this day because you're looking cute in that sweater, okay? You broke out the fall sweater and you're looking good in it, and you have this cute little fall scenario. You're being cute and mysterious at the park, and you're like, I'm gonna talk to this person. They're looking at me, I'm gonna talk to them. You get this courageous burst, and as you guys are connecting, you're like, oh, your voice sounds different. You're not as broody and mysterious as you were giving a couple minutes ago when you were across the park in the fog. But that's okay. You still allow them to have your number and invite you on a date. So it's a very dreamy fall day. And that fantasy that you were entrenched in at the park around imagining what they're like and what they were writing about, you begin to construct this whole self, this whole personality, this whole person who's going to transcend you from your life and take you away from all of your problems and all of your work schedules and all of your health stuff. Like, you're just projecting everything that this person is going to be as though they're just going to sweep you away into your happily ever after. But as we know about life, and as we know about Neptune, oftentimes what can be projected as our dream come true can actually be just smoke and mirrors. Because when you finally go on a date with this individual that you're making eyes with at the park, you realize that you have constructed a fantasy. The more you're getting to know this person, the more you are like, wow, you're not really behaving like the idealized version of you that I had within my head. How dare you? How dare you be yourself and not be what I projected you to be? And so the idealized version of this person that you have within your head is beginning to slip away. But you're like, no, I want that broody, mysterious person back. Like, this person snorts when they laugh and has interesting political takes and only wants to eat either chicken fingers or macaroni, and you're like, no, this is not the broody, mysterious version of yourself. Like, start acting like the idealized version of yourself that I have within my mind. But you're not willing to give up just yet, because you decide to ask, like, hey, what were you working on at the park? Thinking that they were gonna say, oh, this novella about the trials and agony of this, or working on my poetry collection, working on my novel, working on this creative nonfiction essay. But they were working on none of that. They actually were at the park that day, filling out their Burger King job application. That's why they were so pensive, filling out all of their information. They had just stopped at that park because it was around the corner from a Burger King, so they could just fill it out and then pop it right back in. No shade to Burger King, no shade to anyone who works there. But again, you saw the writing and you thought they were totally lost in this artistic realm, tapping into divine inspiration. But no, it was just mostly name, date of birth, to go work at a fast food chain, and you feel your heart break a little bit, and you did it to yourself. And that's the thing about human nature. We break our own heart when we idealize and project. Now, does that mean that we shouldn't do it Absolutely not. Do you know who I'm dressed up as? I live within a fantasy. Like, absolutely. Sometimes those daydreams and those fantasies and that imaginative lens that we go into can be something that makes life worth living. It can be something that's so deeply inspirational. Let's say you were making eyes with this person at the park, reading your poetry, and you decide to write a poetry about this person and who they are and all that they could be. Even if that's not the case, it's still fuel. It's still creative inspiration that you can leverage into all sorts of things. But the problem is when reality doesn't exactly sync up with how it is that you've projected someone to be or something to be. So I'm not saying when it comes this week's astrology that all of us are going to have a fall park bay. I mean, maybe someone out there will have a fall park bay this week, but I want you to look out for where it is that you're breaking your own heart via projections, via imagining people to be something that they are not, or imagining situations to be something that they are not, or even not valuing what's in front of you because you are so caught up in a dream world around how things should be, how things would be if they are perfect. These are all energies to safeguard against. And like I said, the reveal that that person was actually working on a Burger King job application and not the novellas and the poems and all of the things that you'd made up within your own head. That's the Mercury opposite Uranus, where it's like someone's just voicing, yeah, I was working on this Burger King job application. Totally normal thing to be doing, right? But it was unexpected and it was a deviation for how you thought that person should be. They were just being themselves. They were just being honest. They snort when they laugh. They work on the Burger King job application. There's nothing wrong with that. But why it was so heartbreaking is you built them up to be something that they are not. And sometimes when it comes to Uranus energy, sometimes there can be shocks and surprises. It's just when people dare voice, oh, this is who I am. Because Uranus is a very unique planet. It's all about being true to be our own authentic self. So that person was just telling you, hey, this is who I am, but it came through as such a shock wave to you because you're like, you're not acting like the idealized version of you that I constructed in my head. So when it comes this week, I'm not saying everyone's going to have this major disappointment energy. We have Venus trine Uranus, being open to meet cutes, okay? If you haven't gone to the park with a little picnic basket and a little book of poetry to listen to your fall album, might want to put them on the calendar. Being open to the unexpected. That's what Venus trine Uranus is all about. Being open to unexpected happenings. Being open to meeting new people. Being open to new pleasures that emerge or new money-making opportunities that emerge with Venus trine Uranus. But the trick is, with Venus then going on to oppose Neptune, to not set yourself up for disappointment, to allow people and situations the grace and the space to be what it is that they are, and not allowing yourself to get too lost within your fantasy around what they could be, what it could be. So we will talk more about this within our day-by-day analysis. I want to just let you know that all times that I mentioned are PDT. So please adjust in your time zone if you are located elsewhere than the West Coast. I do have a tendency to talk very fast. Feel free to play with the playback speed to align my rate of speaking to a rate that you like to process information. And all timestamps will be available below, so you can jump to a particular day, jump back to a particular day. Last note, the wig is going to wig. I just want to apologize. There's going to be many points in the video where my wig is looking crazy, okay? And I just need to talk about the cosmos and drink my coffee and vibe, so I might not be totally on the adjusting of the wig, so apologies in advance, because there's going to be times that this wig is going to be skewed. The wig is going to wig, okay? That's what I'm warning you of. So without further ado, let's go ahead and take it into our astrology for Monday, October 30th. So on Monday, October 30th, happy Monday, happy Magic Monday at that. And may I just say, while there is some energy baked into Monday's astrology that feels somewhat stressful, we can still make it magical, and here's how. So the first portion of the day, the moon is transiting its exaltation of Taurus. So this is grounded, practical energy with the trine to Pluto. We're really wanting to start the week powerfully. Maybe the night before you had all of these plans within your mind around, okay, I'm gonna wake up at 6 and I'm gonna hit the gym, and then I'm gonna clean the kitchen, and then I'm gonna get started on that work project. But then when you actually open your eyes, your covers are a little too cozy and your eyelids are a little too heavy, and the morning coffee in bed is a little too yummy for you to possibly do any of that. And to that I say, we're absolutely in Taurus lunar eclipse recovery mode. So if you had a heavy, busy weekend, I feel like a lot of people had a very busy weekend. The cosmos is giving you permission to allow yourself to move into this week with an even stride. Just taking that extra moment of peace in the morning time, whether it's writing in your journal or just sipping your coffee or just eating your oatmeal, just something that sort of allows you to find some calm as you move into this week would be incredibly supportive, because the moon's void anyway. After the moon trines Pluto at 4:36 a.m., it is void until it enters Gemini at 8:08 a.m. Now, it is debated amongst astrologers if the moon can truly be void in the sign of its exaltation. I typically try to just kind of use void moons for things such as relaxing or mundane tasks. When the moon enters Gemini at 8:08, you can feel like you're more ready to handle all the tasks. Now that you made yourself a nice breakfast, really drank in all of the beauty of this lovely fall morning with the moon entering Gemini, it's like, okay, the tasks, the emails, the to-dos. And I just want to say, I don't say this to be disempowering or to be negative. There's going to be an energy on Monday where you feel like you cannot get on top of it. Like there just feels to be this frustrating energy where it's like, no matter how much I get done, there's always more that needs to get done. No matter how many emails I respond to, there's always more emails. No matter how many DMs I respond to, there's always more DMs. No matter how much work I do, new work remains. It's just this energy where we're feeling a little burdened and we're feeling a little blocked by this weight of all of our responsibilities. And honestly, with the Gemini moon, we want to connect, we want to be curious, we want to learn, but with the square to Saturn, it's like, gotta handle all of the tasks and the responsibilities. And also feels like mentally you could be feeling very fried and very scattered all over the place. Like having all of these deadlines and all of these people reaching out to you, like, hey, where's this? When can I expect this? Or even when you're trying to do something at work and people keep pulling you aside and it's making you very frustrated, that sort of feels like Monday's astrology, where you're going to feel your time, energy, and mind being pulled in a million different directions. And it's really important to continue to hone your focus back towards what is my most important task today. There just feels to be lots of things pulling your time and attention, whether it's customers coming and asking you all of this stuff, or all of these emails coming in with these deadlines, or also just your mind being very distracted. I feel for a lot of you, you can feel this with text messages, with social media, either a heaviness, certainly with the Gemini moon squaring Saturn, but also this heaviness around, oh, I gotta reply to this person, and oh my gosh, I haven't replied to this person yet, like feeling like you cannot get on top of it. And so this might be a really good day to have your phone on do not disturb, okay? So that you're not allowing your day to be essentially suffocated by, oh, just gotta respond to this person, just gotta RSVP to this person, oh, this one person just asked for a small favor. Like obviously we're here to connect, right, with the Gemini moon, but sometimes those little pulls that are time and attention can make those deadlines sneak up a little closer or shift our focus from the big picture thing that we really wanted to focus on today, being like, where did my day go? Oh, that's right, I spent an hour RSVPing for that party because I couldn't figure out the link. I spent an hour helping my coworker with that thing. Like I need to prioritize my own projects too, outside of prioritizing connecting with all of these different people. There just feels to be something like that coming through. And also this guilt is really what's coming through around, oh, I need to respond to this person, or I need to be on this. And listen, in this modern day and age, I think it's unrealistic to expect someone to be constantly accessible, constantly reachable. So I just want to say, if you are someone who feels suffocated with guilt around, I need to reply to this person, I need to call this person, I need to do all these things, I'm the worst person ever. Like obviously there's always something to be learned. Like we are here to connect. It's important to carve time for connection, but it's also important to free yourself from this unrealistic burden around being 24/7, people being able to have access to you at any moment and reply. Because those little replies, those little comments, things of nature, it pulls your attention away, and it's hard to get back in that flow that you were in prior to that point. And there's always something to be learned, right? Like I'm so bad. I should honestly not be allowed to have a phone. I don't know how to handle this responsibility of having a phone. Like I'm very much the person where I'm like, oh my God, I have to reply to Lydia. And then I reply to Lydia and she's like, girl, I sent you this in May. It is October. You can just loop back 5 months later and act like nothing happened. I'm like, what is time anyway? May, October, it's all a construct anyway. That's the thing, though, that weight around, I have to reply to this person and this person. I always think about it right before I go to sleep, and it is heavy around, oh my gosh, I'm the worst. I haven't reached out to all of these people. I've just felt so stressed with all of these things. I literally have this reoccurring nightmare that I'm looking at my phone, and I know it's so sad to have dreams where you're looking at your phone, but I'm looking at my phone and somehow it's refreshing, and it's like every time it refreshes, like 5 more emails come in or like 5 more messages come in, and it just keeps going and going, and I just feel a sensation condition of dread and overwhelm around, I'm never going to be able to respond to all of them. And again, that could be something that's such a weight around, I'm never going to be able to reply to every little thing that comes up or get back to every person who reaches out at the moment that reach out. Or that could be freeing around, I'm not going to get on top of everything. Every single day I can try to do my best, but I'm not going to be able to do all of the tasks and respond to all of the people every single day. And me also prioritize what's important to me as well. There's always strategies and ways that you can learn and improve. I'm not saying just like give up and be like, well, then I'm not going to respond to anything, right? Because we do want to connect. We do want to network, with the Gemini moon. Again, that can feel like a weight around, oh my God, I'm never going to respond to everything. Or it could be freeing around, I'm never going to respond to everything. So I'm just going to try my best. I'm going to try to tackle the most important tasks today, and I'll do my best tomorrow, and I'll reply back to the messages that I'm feeling inspired to reply back to. And it's okay that I'm not on my phone 24/7, reachable, accessible 24/7, because there's big picture things that I want to work on as well. And there's always something to learn, right? Like I said, I'm coming at you, telling you this from a standpoint of someone who's not very good at this. Honestly, at replying. Like for me, I've literally had to build into my workflow where on Venus Day, I block off 2 hours every Friday to just focus on responding to DMs and emails, which I know is so sad, but I literally need that because oftentimes when you have this big picture task, this heart-centered why, or something that you want to really invest a lot of energy into, but you need to respond to this person, handle this email, those are just little pulls on your time and energy that do in some way affect the finished product. So it's helpful to compartmentalize, to ease the pressure off you around, okay, that's something I'm going to get to on Friday. Right now, my time and attention is on this, and just being gentle with yourself. There's always something to learn. We're always getting better, but just knowing that sometimes these pressures that we put on ourselves around, you've always got to be posting, you've always got to be responding to people, you've got to be able to ask questions the moment they come up. Sometimes that's just an unrealistic ask, and it can be very hard on the nervous system to constantly have stimuli coming in of messages. So I also want to say on Monday, with the Gemini moon squaring Saturn, social media can be feeling very, very heavy at this time. Again, it's important to be informed, but that's also a lot for the human brain to take in at once. We were not meant to be exposed to this much violence and news and information and stimuli. Obviously, we are evolving constantly, but it is a lot to take on, which is why I'm also saying compartmentalizing might be helpful on Monday. Your mind can be feeling very fried or burnt out. And the reason I say that is because the ruler of the Gemini moon is Mercury, who, make sure to get caught up on last week's Magic Monday, but Mercury is separating from Mars that exacted yesterday. And with these two gathered, there can be some stress on our mind feeling kind of frantic, all over the place, easily distracted with the planet of the mind cuddled up with the planet of action. It can also just be a lot more noise around us. People telling us how they feel, airing out their grievances, right? Emailing us, commenting to us. There's just a lot of stimuli going on. It just feels like the energetic of Monday. Keep in mind, the moon's full still, right? It's waning now, but it's pretty full. So emotions are still sort of running high, and there could just be this energy around feeling frantic around trying to handle and put out all of these different fires. And so that's why I was saying on Monday, starting your day peacefully might be nice to just take a moment for yourself before you feel so pulled in so many different directions, and just keeping the most important tasks top of mind and giving yourself permission to compartmentalize. It's okay if I'm not on social media for these 2 hours, or it's okay if I put my phone on do not disturb at work. I'll call my best friend after. Just setting those little parameters so that you're not feeling this stress around trying to be everything for everyone, trying to know all the things and communicate with all the people, because it just feels like you're setting yourself up for failure essentially on Monday, and you're taking it very hard on yourself with the Gemini moon squaring Saturn. Now that happens at 9:04, so this absolutely could be energy around, walking in with a lot of emails, maybe from angry customers with Mercury by Mars, or tasks to be done, or thoughts from your boss. Like I said, with Mercury Mars, people are airing out their grievances. They're letting you know how they feel, okay? And that's coming in earlier in the morning. An energy that I want you to reach for, it doesn't exact until Tuesday, but it is building, is we do have Venus trine Uranus. So in the midst of all of the pressure and the pulls on your time, energy, and attention, seeing for ways that you can empower spontaneity or empower new strategies ways, like I said, whether that's time blocking responses, or having an away message or something else that you can integrate that's new, that sort of helps your mind. Now, an energy that I want you to reach for, it doesn't exact until Tuesday, but it is building, is that we do have Venus trining Uranus. So this is an optimal time to allow the flow of new and of novelty into your world. Now, this could show up with Venus and Virgo around new ways of scheduling. Maybe you're like, oh my gosh, I need to time block responding to emails so that I don't constantly feel like a POS for not responding to people, right? Maybe that's something new that you weave into your schedule, or maybe you're somebody where you need to get on top of those things every single day. So you set aside time in the morning, you work it into your morning routine. I just want to say, with the trine to Uranus, maybe there's something coming through you around a new way that you want to integrate something into your daily routine that does help your mind or the stress that you're under right now. And so that can be literal scheduling techniques that help your mind and your focus and your attention and your projects. But I also want to bring to the surface, it also could be supporting your mental health through just new things that you add to your routine. Maybe you're someone where you're feeling frazzled at work and you come back and you're still kind of feeling frazzled and frenetic. Maybe you can integrate a new habit where right when you get home, you put on your walking clothes and you go for a long walk, and that helps you transition from being on your computer and being on your phone to relaxing back into your time, into your home life. Again, these are just ideas. Observe what is stirring within you, but I just want you to reach for that Venus trine Uranus energy, which is this flow of the new and the novel into our life. Nice little luxuries that kind of take us out of the pressures and the stress of the day-to-day, new ways to connect. There's an energy around, okay, bestie, I love talking to you, but I cannot text you all day when I'm at work. Let's set up a new routine where every single Monday we get together and we grab a matcha after work, right? And then we can really be present and spend time without texting back and forth. Like, just observing novel ways that you can take charge of where your energy is being leaked via all these demands on your time and energy. So on Tuesday, October 31st, happy Halloween. I honestly do have high hopes for the costumes this year, because with Venus trine Uranus, this is like novel ways of expressing your beauty. And then Venus opposes Neptune later in the week. So it feels like an optimal astrological setup to play in the realm of make-believe and of fantasy and of imagination. So get creative with your costume if you are dressing up this year. But what I want to say about Venus trine Uranus, outside of new ways of expressing our beauty, novel ways of expressing our beauty, but also authentic ways of expressing our beauty, ways that we allow our own essence to shine through. That's why I asked you, what are you dressing up for Halloween? And do you relate with that character or that person at all based on your sign? Sometimes there could be interesting threads on the characters that we feel inclined to dress up as, how we relate to them, why we wanted to embody them. So just something to kind of muse about as the day continues. But outside of that, with Venus trine Uranus, it's about understanding that anything could happen. It's about empowering the new and the novel into your universe. You know, it was that fall Sunday and you could have just, binged Netflix, but you're like, no, I'm gonna go for this fall picnic and wear my sweater and romanticize my life, like invite in new ways for pleasure. Like, that's very much a Venus trine Uranus energy. And yes, even though Venus is in her fall, this can be a time to say yes to new love, or say yes to somebody that we typically wouldn't go out with, or say yes to a spontaneous date night, or spontaneous ways of spending time. Like, maybe this is going to a Halloween party that you don't really want to go, but then there's something stirring within you around, okay, well, anything could happen. Or being able to empower this mentality around, yes, things are routine, like with Venus and Virgo, there's dishes to be done and bills to be ran and all of the daily activities to handle, but also anything can happen at any point in time. You might wander to the park on that Sunday and just read Sylvia Plath, and that's that. But you could also wander the park and meet your soulmate. Whether that person that you saw in the park was actually your soulmate, now that's up for debate, but you just don't know. Anything could happen. And I think with Venus trine Uranus, it's, yes, inspiring a flow of new into our schedules. So like, okay, if there's something within your daily routine which is not working, it's too hard on your focus, it's too hard on your mental health, it's not working how it is that it's working now. Yes, Venus trine Uranus is about empowering new strategies, but it's also about allowing new into into our life via even our routines. And I know that feels like opposing energies, but what I mean is maybe having one day a week that you take yourself out on a date. You take yourself to the park or to the cafe to drink tea and to read and to write. We have to romanticize our life and to plug in those opportunities to do so within our daily routine. Because like I said with yesterday, there will always be more tasks. There will always be more dishes. There's gonna always be more in your house to clean and maintain. The very act of being a human is almost like being constantly in quicksand. You can just never get on top of anything. There's never gonna be a point in time when you're like, okay, now I finally have the free time to go and write poetry in the park and do all the things. Like, we have to plug in those opportunities to do what is important to us within our routine. Yes, I'm not saying let your house get dirty and don't work out. Like, certainly that's all important too, but it's basically saying, how are you allowing the new and the novel to reach you within your world? If you are somebody who is looking for love, okay, if you are someone who is looking for love, really ask yourself, like, how is the universe gonna get my soulmate to me? Like, seriously, how are they gonna get my soulmate to me if all I do is like stay at home and, watch Netflix? Okay, not to call you out, but you do have to go to stuff. You do have to say yes to stuff. You might get an invitation to a Halloween party and it might be a bust. It might be so lame and you're bummed that you wasted your Halloween costume on it, or you might meet the love of your life. You just don't know, and that's what does make life exciting. You might walk to the park and all you do is read Sylvia Plath poems. You might walk to the park and meet your soulmate or meet someone who could be your best friend. You just don't know. And I think with Venus trine Uranus, it's emboldening those opportunities for the new and the novel to reach you within your life. So following those stirrings around, oh, I feel like going to the park today. I want to go to the beach today. I'm going to say yes to this invitation that came in from my friend. Like, if you are looking for love, truthfully, I think one of the best strategies that you can do is just go places. I'm not kidding. Be seen places. Go places alone. I'm not kidding. I know some people don't necessarily feel comfortable hanging out within their own company alone, but it's a lot less intimidating for people to approach you when you are alone. And like I said in the vibe check, like, romanticize your life. At the very least, at least you got this nice little park date in with yourself, right? You created this whole environment. It was very romantic. You had cheese and wine and you're reading poetry and you're listening to music. Like, from a very metaphysical sense, it's almost like you're tapping into that vibration of romance. So it's more likely to find you in terms of someone that you meet. So take yourself out on dates. Dress up for yourself. Go to beautiful scenery. Make life a movie. That's a part of Venus opposite Neptune. Like, think about the movie moments, the meet cutes within movies. It's typically in unexpected ways. And again, I have faith in the universe. I know that the right people are coming into your universe in the right timing that aligns for all souls involved, right? But it's just this energy around interacting with the world, being open to the new and the novel, and not waiting on other people to take you out to dates. Like, if you're somebody where you're like, I want to spend my Sundays, reading poetry in the park, but I don't want to do that without a partner. Like, don't wait on other people to give you what you can give yourself. Like, invite the flow of the new and the novel. And maybe for some of you who are not comfortable going out by yourself, maybe that's a little cosmic nudge this week. Go to a cafe alone, go to a movie alone. I'm telling you, when you kind of set in that energy around just romanticizing your life and just creating these movie moments, you never know who you can meet. And even if you don't, you took yourself on a romantic little date. You romanticized your life. You made life a movie. You put yourself in the pathway for your soulmate to find you. Like, when we also consider that Venus is the planet of money, right, in Virgo, which is a sign that is associated with work, this is also business advice as well. It's simply marketing, being seen, being visible. Your soulmate's not going to find you unless they see you. Your ideal customer is not going to find you unless they see you. So all I want to say, if you've been kind of in your hermit era and you haven't been wanting to interact with the world, what I want to say with Venus trine Uranus, be open to the new and the novel and put yourself in environments where the new and the novel can reach you. And perhaps with Venus and Virgo, integrate new parts of your routine for new opportunities to find you. Be part of a business networking group, right? For new money-making opportunities to find you. Put in a weekly date with yourself so you can go out and interact with the world. Establish a new routine with a friend to ensure that you guys are investing time towards one another. And I also want to say, since November does start tomorrow, I want to let you know that come December, Mercury will enter its shadow and then station retrograde. I know, I can't believe we're almost to another Mercury retrograde, but I just share that to say, now that Saturn stations direct this week, we have a lot of the cosmos direct and out of its shadow. So there's a lot of forward momentum. So what I also want to say with Venus trine Uranus is that if there are certain new income strategies or business ideas that are circulating within you, I just want to say be open to the flow of the new and the novel. Like, be open to seizing new opportunities, whether that's financial opportunities, business opportunities, things of that nature. Like within the vibe check, you could have just gone to the park and not went up to that person. But with Venus trine Uranus, it's like anything could happen. It's reminding yourself to play in the anything can happen zone. Because listen, I know things are super, super incredibly heavy right now with what is happening globally. It's a lot for a mind and a heart and a soul to contain that much sadness and that much grief of what is transpiring. And it's not that Venus trine Uranus takes that away. But what it is reminding you is that every single day that you open your eyes is a blessing. And with Venus trine Uranus, it's looking for the beauty and being open to novel ways to see the beauty around you. If you've been stuck in a routine or sort of stuck in a rut, Venus trine Uranus, it's like, how can I shake things up so that I'm more able to really soak in beauty that is this particular October, this particular moment, this particular season of life? How can I put myself in the pathway for the new and the novel to flow into my life? The blessings and the beauty might be, small. Venus is in its fall of Virgo, but it is around you. And with Venus trine Uranus, it's putting yourself in the pathway to be able to see the opportunities of the new and the novel and how that's flowing into your aesthetic world, with Venus being the planet of beauty, your financial world, Venus being the planet of money, and into your social connections, with Venus being the planet of love. So all I'm saying with Tuesday and Monday, we might feel it build as well, is say yes to that Halloween party that you would typically say no to. Be open to new Halloween traditions that just make this life a little bit sweeter, a little bit more enjoyable. Play dress up and allow yourself to have a little fun. Like, find new ways of inviting in pleasure and enjoyment and beauty into your existence. And on Tuesday, the Gemini moon will sextile Chiron in Aries. And so it's sort of a healing flow of energy into our emotional state. And just with this happening on Halloween, sometimes it can be quite healing to play pretend as somebody else every so often, to kind of like get a temporary vacation from being our own selves. Like, I think that's part of the energetic of the Neptune, is really just this vacation from reality. When we go into crush land or in a fantasy land or imagination land around visualizing who this person, the stranger at the park is, it's kind of like a little departure from reality. And like we talked about last week, it's always important to kind of measure that balance between reality and our dream worlds, but it's just basically sometimes can be a nice break from our mind to just take a vacation from reality every so often, and take a vacation from being our own selves by stepping into a character of some sort. So hopefully you guys are dressing up, and it can also be healing for your inner child. If you didn't really feel like you got to dress up when you were younger, it can be nice to reclaim that as well. But if you don't have any plans on Tuesday, Halloween, no pressure whatsoever. Like with the Gemini moon sextile Chiron in Aries, maybe doing something that is healing. Maybe you're feeling overwhelmed and you don't want to be somewhere that's noisy and loud, and you decide to have like a healing night at home. Listen to your internal stirrings and where they are guiding you. But all I want to say is just with that whisper of Uranus and Taurus, if you get an invitation and it sounds intriguing, follow that stirring. If you get a sudden desire where you want to walk to the park and read poetry, follow that inclination. Like, you never know what it's leading you towards. And then that evening, the Gemini moon gets into a T-square with Venus and Neptune, which, like I said, sometimes it's a vacation from reality to play pretend as somebody else, right? And that's what this Tuesday astrology is giving. I always say with moon meeting up with Neptune in a harsh aspect, cool it with the drinking. Just, Neptune can be wanting to dive into other realities like that as well. And sometimes we can lose sight how much is too much. So just being cautious with that. But absolutely, with this mutable T-square sort of forming in the skies, it can feel very chaotic and all over the place and frantic, but it can also feel very fun. So on Wednesday, happy November, firstly. Just a reminder, if you want to get November's astrological magic monthly assets, make sure to check out my membership below. But as I said, with Tuesday's astrology, we have this mutable T-square forming very early on Wednesday. So for some of you, you may feel this Tuesday night. For some of you, you could feel this Wednesday morning. There definitely is a slower start to the day. Let me say that. There's a little bit of a fog, a little bit of an I don't wanna, a little bit of a sleepy vibe. So the Gemini moon squares Neptune early in the morning around 5:36 a.m. and it will not enter Cancer, thus ending the void until 2:30 p.m. Now, when the moon is void, important tasks we must avoid. That's a huge chunk of the day to be avoiding important tasks. So just sticking to matters that are mundane. With the square to Neptune, you could be glossing over important details within an email string, or you could be too much in la la land to be paying attention to the meeting. Like, it's just not the most productive time. A lot of people feel more sleepy or more emotional when Neptune is involved, but to that I say at 2:30 the moon enters Cancer, so absolutely emotions are going to be pronounced. But what I want to say with Wednesday night is that the Cancer moon trine Saturn in Pisces, this is giving true self-care, okay? Because obviously, when it comes to the Cancer moon is very tapped into the energetic and emotional frequencies of life, very plugged into the act of nourishing what it is that we hold dear. So this could be a night in which you're really feeling inclined to want to invest energy within your family, or hanging out with your pets, or watering your plants. Like, a lot of times when it comes to Cancer, we want to pour our love and attention into something, and maybe that's yourself. Because the reason I emphasize true self-care is that, yes, sometimes the act of nourishing and caring for our landscape looks like bubble baths and chocolate and sleeping in, right? And sometimes that looks like doing the hard things. Sometimes that looks like going to the gym after work, even when we just want to go home and eat Cheetos. Sometimes that looks like having that tough conversation that we would rather avoid, but we know we need to have it. Sometimes self-care looks like working on your own business after you get off work, because you know you owe it to yourself to make your dreams a reality. It's not as glamorous and it's not as fun as bubble baths and chocolate, because when we talk about self-care, it's not just about caring for the iteration of you that exists within this present moment, with the needs and the desires that are within you at this moment, and feeding every women fancy that comes into your experience. It's also about taking care of future you and making sure they're set up for success, making sure that you are putting time and energy towards making tomorrow you happy, right? Like, it could be easy just be like, oh, I'll fold the laundry tomorrow, but you know how happy tomorrow you is going to be with past you if you just take it upon yourself to care for that future iteration of yourself. Self-care means showing up for all of you. That can mean showing up for the past you, right? Healing your inner child and what it is that you've gone through. It can mean showing up for the present you, being able to make sure that you are eating delicious food and moving your body, but it's also showing up for future you as well, making sure you're setting yourself up for success, moving towards the projects that are the most important for you. This too is an act of self-love. Doing the hard thing can be an act of self-love. It's caring for yourself so much that you don't just care about making sure your needs are met now, you want your needs to be met tomorrow and the next day and in the future too, which means sometimes making sacrifices. Saturn stations this week, right? We had Sun trine Saturn last week. So hopefully you guys are feeling this building momentum with so much of the cosmos being direct around, okay, it's go time. I've got to get my holiday specials in order. I've got to plan what it is that I'm doing next year. I have to file for my LLC, or whatever is stirring within you. Again, it's no pressure whatsoever. I don't want you to hear this and be like, should I be starting a business? Should I be doing all these things? But it's just observing and taking things into your own hands. If you've been waiting and waiting and waiting until the circumstances align perfectly, they never will align absolutely perfectly. Sometimes we have to force that momentum around, I don't really feel like writing today, but I'm gonna sit down and I'm gonna write. Or I don't really feel like shipping out orders today, but I'm going to ship out orders because that is what tomorrow me deserves. I don't really feel like meal prepping, but tomorrow me has a busy day and they will appreciate it. Again, this is self-care. So what I wanna say on Wednesday is doing something that, yes, cares for your soul. Listen to the whispers from your intuition, certainly the moon's in Cancer, but also pay attention to how the whispers of your intuition, your soul, are cluing you towards what it is that you want to build, what it is that you want to create, what it is that you want to work towards within the external reality. I just need to take a brief intermission to show you this lipstick. Shout out to my friend B who got me this lipstick, and you know, I'm really just repping my sign, even though the necklace is nowhere to be found. Like, seriously, where is that necklace? It's so weird, because it's one of those situations where I was like, I'm gonna put it aside in this special place that I can use it when I film. Where was the special place? Couldn't tell ya. On Thursday, November 2nd, Sun opposes Jupiter around 10 p.m. So we could be feeling this energy build as we navigate our Thursday. And here's what you can expect. First, I want to say, if you have been struggling with confidence, if you are someone where it literally made you break out in hives, listening to the vibe check, being like, I could never go up to a stranger in the park. Like, Sun opposite Jupiter can be this energy around our ego getting a little bit puffed up, right? And being like, who wouldn't want to talk to me at the park? This person will be so honored if I went up and approached them and started a conversation. Like, with Sun opposite Jupiter, we could be feeling ourselves, right? And we could be feeling our power with the Scorpio Sun. But like I said, with Mercury and Mars opposing Jupiter over the weekend, this can lead to a little bit of too big for your britches behavior. Where yes, it's all well and good to be feeling more confident, be feeling more sure of yourself around. Typically, if you're someone where you want to hide and you don't want to approach someone, this could be an energy in which you're feeling more confident. You're wanting to be visible. You're wanting to put yourself out there. You're wanting to look cute at a park and see who approaches you or who it is that you talk to. Like, this can be an energetic of that, but it also can be an energy of, do you know who I am? Like an energy where our egos are a little overly inflated. Like if a regular goes into the store that you manage and can't believe that you're out of a product and is like, do you know who I am? I'm a regular here. And it's like, that doesn't make the product magically materialize. Like, there can be an energy with Sun opposite Jupiter around kind of feeling ourselves a little too much or overinflating our ego. You could even feel this with like bosses or authority figures or people within your world who want to remind you how they are larger than life and they are powerful and you have to do what it is that they say. Like with Scorpio bringing these kind of themes around power, there could be this energy around people wanting to lord their power over you or thinking that they're more powerful than they actually are. So what I want to say is, if you've been struggling with confidence, if you've been really struggling to put yourself out there, to be visible, this is the cosmos cheerleading you to take that push, be out there. Even if you have to go alone, go to the park, take yourself on a date. If you've been hiding from being visible on social media, take this little nudge to put yourself out there in that regard. Like I said, though, that dream client, that dream opportunity, that dream soulmate, they're not going to find you if you are not visible. And certainly the Sun's in Scorpio, okay, every so often we have to withdraw into our own privacy and our own secrecy. But with the energy of Sun opposite Jupiter, it's reminding you sometimes you have to come outside of the shadows and allow yourself to be perceived, which I know it's not always comfy and cozy, but it just feels like this astrology is kind of giving you a boost to do just that, as well as putting yourself out there for that business opportunity or for that creative opportunity. Like, all of what it is that you want will not find you unless you co-create with the cosmos by allowing them to find you, right? This transit can give a little bit of fake it till you make it. Because honestly, that is the secret sometimes, is like walking into a room with your head held high and your shoulders rolled back, just really embodying that role of who it is that you want to be. And I've shared this before, so I apologize if you've already heard it. Shout out to the people who have been watching Magic Monday for a while and have heard me retell stories. You guys are the real ones. You guys are real ones. But I just want to share because I think it's helpful, especially in the spirit of Halloween, to contemplate the magic of stepping into a role or a costume. Like when you walk into a costume party dressed up as a vampire, dressed up like a celebrity, the energy that you embody shifts, right? You have this costume, you step into it, and part of you in some way steps into that role. You can do that in your daily reality as well, envisioning how it is that you want to step into that interview, that art gallery, that date, what have you, and sort of faking it till you make it, because you will become it. That's the trippy part about it. So my real name is Haley, but Haley Comet at first was a kind of alter ego for me to step into, because Haley the human, I know you probably wouldn't assume this just because I'm talking a lot in front of a camera, but Haley the human is pretty shy and pretty quiet. And so when I was first starting my business and I had to get more comfortable around going into networking events or business mixers or big events where I was doing lots of reading, it used to be something that really intimidated Haley the human, but not Haley Comet. And so when I would get ready, I would just think of assuming the role as Haley Comet, of just this confident, cosmic star girl who would go into these events and just wow everybody with my celestial abilities or what have you. And yes, with some opposite Jupiter, sometimes we have to hype ourselves up, right? Stroke our ego, listen to the music that makes you feel confident and like a baddie to step into that role. I'm telling you, it totally worked. It was like I was able to hide all of my insecurities and all of my fears and give it to Haley the human. Haley Comet Comet didn't feel any of that. She was just somebody who was there, dialed in to do her job, to be able to share celestial insights in a personable, fun way, to be able to work the room and make connections and network, and just putting all of those fears and anxieties and insecurities, those were Haley's. They were not Haley Comet. I would step into a room and I would just become that. And it stopped being such a conscious effort any longer. It was just part of me. It was like the more I just showed up, like I was so confident and I knew how to mingle and I knew how to network and I knew how to do all these things while sharing astrological insights, the more it just became natural for me, second nature, the more it became me. Again, I'm not saying to be inauthentic. Like I really think Haley Comet is something very authentic to me, but it's me showing up as the most confident version of my authenticity. And so maybe it'd be helpful for you to name that person or to have certain colors that you wear that remind you of that if you are going into an environment that is intimidating to you. You're working an event for the first time. You're allowing your poem to be read at the gallery for the first time. You're going into a situation where it's like, okay, the human is scared, but I can embody this role and step into this role around not being scared. Because the thing is, I think this is a quote from Euphoria, but the thing about confidence is that no one can tell whether or not you truly have it or not. Okay. And so oftentimes if you just walk into that room, like you own the place, like you are, Haley Comet, like you are that poet, like you have been doing events for years and years and years, you become it. And so this is a powerful aspect to roll your shoulders back, lift your head up high, and walk into what might be a little bit of a nerve-wracking situation with all of the confidence in the world. And maybe this is literally going somewhere, literally going up to somebody, right? Like going up to somebody in the vibe check. You don't know this person, but you walk up to them like so confident, like you hit on people in the park all of the time, right? But maybe there's like a new chapter of your life that is emerging for you where it's like, I really want to start this new career and I'm not sure if I'm capable of it. Sometimes you just need to step into that role around what would it look like if I was this person and how can I just step into and transform into that version of myself, because it's so interesting, but they really do become fused to a certain degree, to an interpersonal level. Like I said, people could be a little too big for their britches, a little bit of do you know who I am energy. There can be some energy around interacting with people who have an inflated sense of self-importance. And again, that's where it gets sticky, is because the line is being blurred here around confidence and arrogance. Right? Like confidence is showing up as the best version of yourself and walking into a room with your head held high, just feeling confident and being the best iteration of yourself. Arrogance is needing to put other people down in order to feel like you can ascend that role. So just stay focused on stepping in as the best version of yourself. Again, this could be a business persona, or just stepping into the role of whatever your life is demanding of you that you're like, can I do this? Like with Sun opposite Jupiter, it's acting like you can until you know that you can. It's really the vibe here. And this is bolstered from the lunar aspects on Thursday. So the Cancer moon trine Scorpio sun. So the moon is waning, disseminating, which is about sharing, giving back, teaching, writing, mentoring, sharing. So again, if a new and interesting opportunity finds you this week, say yes. Say yes, even if it's weird, even if it's bizarre, even if you're not sure, say yes. Particularly and only if your intuition is like, that sounds interesting. Like following that little nudge, that little stirring, especially with all this water within the cosmos around, that sounds interesting. That Halloween party sounds interesting. Or this desire that emerged in me to walk to the park sounds interesting. You never know what can find you there. Like just yesterday, I went to a bridal business mixer. You might be saying, Haley Comet, do you work in the bridal industry? And to that I say no. But a friend of mine who's a wedding planner invited me as her +1 because I work a lot of like bachelorette parties as an astrologer and actually helped a best man write his speech from their astrology. So she was like, why don't you see if there's a bridal crossover? Like you could network with all sorts of people. And networking used to be a concept that would literally send shivers down my spine. My second day of my tech internship when I was in college, I literally went home sobbing. I'm not kidding, sobbing, because we went to this networking event and I just had nothing to say to anyone. I just was like, I have nothing in common with any of you. I don't know what to say. I don't know what to talk about. I don't know how to have charisma. I don't know how to have charm. So I literally just left the event, didn't tell my bosses or anything I was leaving, just got on the bus and went home and came home crying because I felt so shy and so weird and so awkward. So for me to willingly go to a networking event was very much a departure from at least who I used to be. I did have to kind of hype myself up on the way there. Like it is intimidating walking into a room of people that you do not know besides my friend, but she was modeling, so she was a little busy. It was like a bridal dress show thing. So she was busy, so I had to kind of make connections, and honestly, I did make good connections. And when I was walking in there, I was like, okay, you're not Haley. You are Haley Comet, and she is confident, and she is curious about the wedding industry, and she's going to make connections, and she's gonna drink a latte, and I did all of those things. So it was an unusual invitation, but there was something within me that was like, you should go, and I'm really glad I went. So all I wanna say, if an unusual social invitation, business invitation, or something lands on your desk this week, say yes. You never know what could happen. And with Thursday astrology, it's like following those nudges. If there's something that comes in that you're like, I don't want to, like there's like a pit in your stomach around, oh, that doesn't sound fun. Also honor that. I'm not saying you have to be everywhere all the time. All I'm saying is allow your intuition to be the compass around which opportunities are for you and which opportunities are not for you. And I think with Saturn stationing direct this week, and as well as that opening, Gemini moon square Saturn energy, it's just a reminder that our time is finite. We can't be everywhere. We can't connect with everyone all of the time. And sometimes your internal guidance system is really powerful around what's feeling aligned, what's feeling like a yes, what am I feeling magnetized towards? Follow that, especially with the Cancer moon sextiling Jupiter in Taurus as well. I will say on Thursday, there can be pangs because with the square to Chiron in Aries, there could be pangs around revisiting past essentially scars or insecurities that you have. Like even me being at that bridal networking event when everybody was chatting and I was like, who do I talk to? Like it kind of brought me back to that space of being at that tech networking event, my second day of my internship when I was in college, and feeling that same insecurity around just feeling like, I don't know what to say. I don't know who to talk to. I'm so weird. I'm not cut out for this or what have you. Again, you could feel that pang and show up differently anyway, right? Because Sun opposes Jupiter. So I felt that energy around being like, oh, should I run away from this bridal mixer? I don't belong here. I'm not even in the bridal industry, right? I felt that pang around, oh, you're so weird. You're so awkward. Why is an astrologer at a bridal networking event, right? I felt that, but I was like, Haley Comet wouldn't care. So I embodied the role of Haley Comet. So just observing where that's coming to the surface within your universe and knowing that those old pangs, old stories, they don't always make sense within the current scene of your life. Sometimes it's just a flashback. Sometimes it's just a flashback, but the plot is happening within this present moment. So being present for it and playing your role. On Friday, November 3rd at 3:06 p.m. PDT, Venus in Virgo will oppose Neptune in Pisces. And this is essentially an entry point into our imagination and into our delulu, into our projections for better and for worse. Feeding our delulu or fantasizing about that stranger at the park or imagining who could this be? What could we be? Sometimes that can be soul food. That can be creative food, truly. One of my favorite memoirs is called Wonderful Tonight by Patty Boyd. And if you're not sure who Patty Boyd is, she was married to George Harrison of the Beatles. And I don't know if she officially married, but she was also with Eric Clapton. So she's had a lot of songs written about her. Okay, my Pisces queen. Like she has been the muse to some amazing timeless songs like Layla by Eric Clapton, Wonderful Tonight, obviously by Eric Clapton, Something by George Harrison. And it was so interesting because I went to a wedding where their first dance was to Layla by Eric Clapton, and obviously having read the memoir, I knew the ins and outs and the real intricacies and the harrowing details of Clapton and Boyd's relationship, and I was having this disconnect around how could something so beautiful come from such a toxic, destructive connection, and how interesting it is to be listening to this song that plays on even when their relationship has disbanded. And does that make the song lose any of its value because the love did not stay, or was it just capturing a perfect moment in time? And just like everything else in life, things transition as well. I was like literally at this wedding having this like mental debate within myself around, are we all listening to ghosts of songs of muses past and loves that didn't work out and lovers who couldn't make it work in terms of their practical life? Does that make these snapshots of true bliss and romance and beauty, does that make it lose any value? Because on one hand, what I want to say firstly is with Venus in Virgo, I want to let you know every single person on this planet is going to have flaws. Is going to have things wrong with them. And the thing is, life is not a 3-minute, 20-second song. It is not a movie scene. Neptune is the fairy tale ending. And in life, there are no fairy tale endings. And in the fairy tales, there's not, a partner who snores or leaves cabinets open or all of these little flaws. That's going to show up with everyone. And I just feel like with Venus opposite Neptune, there could be this energy around idealizing, looking for that love elsewhere, when Venus in Virgo is reminding us, like a lot of times, love is somebody who is there who's part of your daily routine, who wants to hear about your day and help you with your tasks and shows you love via acts of service. Like, that is love. And with its whispered opposite Neptune and Pisces, notice where it is that you're checking out of your relationship and like the nitty gritty, flaws that it can contain with Venus and Virgo to idealize, whether it's like the one who got away or that stranger at the park wouldn't, leave their gym socks on the floor, anything of that nature, like projecting things onto utter strangers, when if you really got in a relationship with that stranger in the park, they might also leave their gym socks on the ground. Like, the energy of Neptune is about dreaming and about projection. And there's been a quote going around on TikTok, which I find is so true, especially with Venus opposite Neptune, in that a crush is just a lack of information. Truly, when we don't know that much about somebody, when somebody's kind of mysterious, we could project all sorts of things onto them. We could project everything that we want them to be in every way that they're going to take us away from our own problems, every way that they're going to make our dreams a reality. We project that onto them, which honestly isn't fair to that person to have them held up to this pedestal around this being the person that's going to help us realize all of our dreams and ambitions and help us take away from all of the sad parts of our mundane reality. Like, it's not fair to you nor the other person. But if you don't have that much information, if it's just a stranger in a park, you can dream up that they're writing this novella and that they drive this certain car and they're going to whisk you away from your reality. You're going to start this new beautiful relationship. Now, that can be fuel. We'll talk about that in a moment. But as the real details surface, there could be an energy around, this doesn't click into what I thought you were going to be. And sometimes the best crushes are people we don't really know that much about, because then we can imagine them to be all sorts of things that they are not. They're just a person in the park and we built them up to be this whole thing. So what I want to say with that first message, just being cautious of where it is that you're idealizing the next person, avoiding the work here and idealizing strangers and then getting disappointed when you get there, because Neptune's smoke and mirrors, and it's very hard for reality to compete with the dream, because it's very easy to project everything like, the person in the park wouldn't do this to me. It's like, you don't know the person in the park. But that doesn't mean you shouldn't imagine and be inspired by them. This is the other part of Neptune that I want to get to, because absolutely be cautious of where it is that you're searching for perfection, searching for the ideal, searching for an escape from your problems, but also understanding that inspiration can be something that is fuel. Like I said, with the songs that Patty Boyd has inspired, like, it's a powerful thing to be inspired. And oftentimes the greatest muses within this world weren't people who they had this whole lifelong partnership with, right? It was people who had a very brief interaction within their lives, but from the artist's perspective, that person's essence and soul and being just awakened something within them, that they are able to be a conduit and a channel for this really beautiful art. That's what a muse is. It's someone who electrifies your point of view, sort of awakens something within you, and you can use that as fuel. Like, for my creatives, like writing a song about it, painting a picture about it, that is fuel. That is a gift that someone has given you. If you interact with someone who just awakens something within you, electrifies you within a new way, that is so valuable. So that is a gift that they have given you, the gift of inspiration that you can chisel into your writing or into your art or into your astrology, into whatever it is. Oftentimes when we are around somebody or in the orbit of somebody who just awakens something within us, it kind of initiates us into the next chapter of our life, where we want to step it up with our business or with our career. Like muses make the world go round. Even if that person in the park is not going to be your lifelong partner and soul, even if you're there in the park and you write a poem about this person, what they could be, that is truly a gift. So if there is somebody that you are in the crush zone with, okay, with Venus opposite Neptune, take that as fuel. Turn that inspiration or what it is that they awakened within you, put it into something, put it into your art, put it into your creativity, put it into whatever fuel that connection gives you. It's okay if it doesn't turn into this whole thing. Sometimes it's a stranger in a park to allow you to tap into inspiration to write that poem that you were meant to write. And what a beautiful inspiration that is. And some people are not meant to leave the crush zone. Some people are just meant to be your muse, inspiring you. Like the song Hey There Delilah, it's like concocted this whole vision around, this person moved to New York City and they're trying to be together. He didn't even know Delilah. I think he was trying to impress Delilah, and she was not that into it. But nevertheless, she awakened this beautiful song from him, and that's what muses do. So for some of you, you are the muse. You don't know who it is that you're inspiring just by being your own self. For some of you, there can be somebody who you have in the crush zone, someone that you are crushing on. Desire is fuel. Like, put that desire into things that you want to work on. Put it into your art. put it into leveling up your business or putting more effort into your appearance or whatever it is that you can utilize it for. Like, don't feel like that crush is a waste if it doesn't turn into a lifelong partnership, because a lot of the art that we consume, that is not the case. It doesn't make it any less beautiful. So with the opposition, we have to balance. Like I said, Neptune is such a beautiful zone to play in, playing in the realm of fantasy and imagination and what could be, but also observing who's showing up within your day-to-day, who's putting in the physical effort to be part of your life and to show you love, and really balancing those two. And some other ways you can feel Venus opposite Neptune is definitely being cautious with financial decisions. Like with me, with my necklace that just went poof, goodbye. Like with Venus opposite Neptune, you could be like, I just meant to go get a drink at happy hour and somehow a 400 tab later, like it could make our money go bye-bye. It also can be a time in which we're not making necessarily the most sound financial decisions. And when it comes to our beauty, I would definitely say with Venus trine Uranus and Venus opposite Neptune, allow yourself to dress up. Beauty is magic. Again, part of my initial stepping into the role of Haley Comet was like doing my makeup, getting ready, playing the music that helped me put on that role. Like, I do think there is something to be said about glamour magic around allowing ourselves to adorn ourselves, so that we show up as that version of ourselves that we want to show up as. I think there's a lot of value within that. So another kind of zone to play in on Friday, but definitely a great time for a very romantic date night, whether it's with a lover or with yourself. Take yourself to the cafe, write poetry about a stranger. Even if you never talk to them, at least you have a beautiful poem. Like, that is the vibe with the Venus opposite Neptune. And so from a lunar aspect, Friday feels very productive. The moon is in Cancer all day, which is soulful and compassionate, and with it trining Mercury and Scorpio, could be a great day to circle back to clients or to nurture connections. You know, time block to handle your DMs and emails. That would be optimal for that. The Cancer moon then sextiles Uranus and Venus, so again, being open to spontaneous new surprises. Cancer moon trines Neptune in Pisces at 2:58 p.m., which adds to this dreamy energy on Friday. Like, I definitely wouldn't expect to be the most productive. Like, there is some productive energy on Friday, but when we have Neptune whispering to us, you could find you're more so in your imagination, in your daydreams, which, like I said, that can be fuel. It's such a blessing to be around something that is inspiring you. It's such a blessing to have a muse, whatever that looks like to you. It doesn't even necessarily have to be a person, but to have something that is inspiring you, pulling you, that is such a blessing. That is such a blessing. It's such a blessing to be inspired. It's a blessing to be able to inspire others, and it's a blessing to be inspired yourself. So following the whispers of muse and where it is guiding you, following the whispers of spirit and where it is guiding you. And the final aspect of the day is that the Cancer moon does oppose Pluto in Capricorn. So again, there can be some intense emotions that are coming up. There can be a deep call for intimacy around really wanting to go deep if you do go on that date, or if you are writing that poem, getting really deep with it. Like, Pluto definitely excavates to the deeper level of our psyche. But if you decide to stay in, would be a really optimal time to just pour into self-care, nourishing yourself. With all the Neptune energy, definitely don't want to get too carried away, because the planet of karma is stationing the next day. So like I said, this week is a blend of treats and tricks. Like, Neptune is a dream, and it's nice to get lost within a daydream, but we have to come back to reality. Life is not just a love song and a poem or these movie moments. Like, they're so great and they're what make life worth living, certainly a lot of times, but we have to be able to wake up from the daydream. Like, we have to be able to balance this world of imagination and muse with reality, because the wake-up call, the reality wake-up call is coming the next day. So all I want to say is cool it with the sort of Neptunian ways of escaping, such as, you know, wine or anything of that nature, because with Saturn stationing, you could absolutely feel the consequences of indulging a bit too much in an altered state of reality. So on Saturday, November 4th, so how apt is this? Saturn stations direct on Saturday, so Saturn's Day, love that. It happens a little after midnight. So like I said, you may feel rumblings of this on Friday around maybe wanting to escape into Neptune. So it's like wanting to get lost in this daydream, but also having certain beckonings on your time and energy that are planting you very firmly here, right? Like wanting to get lost on this date with this person that you met at the park, but then having all of these details come out about them that's not lining up with the dream dream vision you had of this person. Like, what do you mean you were filling out a Burger King job application? I thought you were writing me a sonnet because you were so inspired by this stranger that you saw at the park. But Saturn is kind of a reality wake-up call around sometimes it's just not your person. If you wrote a poem about them, if something about their being was the perfect screen for you to project your fantasies onto, take those visions, take those creations, put it into your art. It doesn't make it lose any value, but it's important to know that person was just a screen. We were projecting the vision. So allowing yourself to be real with yourself when the screen comes up, and that person is not everything that you built them up to be within your own mind. Listen, that can be heartbreaking. But with Saturn stationing direct, we have to accept the reality. And again, it's interesting because Saturn's in Pisces. So it's really like snapping us out of the reverie, where it's like you can play within the realm of imagination and muse and fantasy. And again, it could be fuel for you to pour into your real life. But nevertheless, real life is here. That's why I'm saying, yes, the crush zone and the muse zone is an amazing place. Like, it's amazing to have those emotions and that creativity elicited within you. It's so special. But what I'm saying with Saturn stationing direct is make sure it is something that is helping you build your future and not something that you are getting lost within around projecting that this person is going to solve all your problems and fix everything for you. Meanwhile, your life feels stagnant. Like, take that fuel from this person who came into your reality and use it to build your dreams or what it is that you want. Whether they do, that is your soulmate, they factor into the picture or not. That's what's really important. Because like I said, with Venus and Virgo, love is somebody who shows up as part of your day-to-day. It's fun to fantasize and imagine what people could be like, but at the end of the day, if somebody wants to be with you, wants to be in your life, they will make that known and they will be part of your everyday. They will show up for you. So if you are finding that you are part of sort of a situationship or a crush that feels like it's siphoning more energy than it's really giving to you, it's time to sort of like reevaluate and really see, is this helping me towards leveling up my game at work because I want to, impress them, and leveling up my health because I want to feel good about myself and allowing me to create beautiful art? Or am I just stuck in this purgatory where I'm just escaping and losing myself into this daydream that's not necessarily grounded within reality? With Saturn stationing, it's just a reminder around like time is going by. So if you've been like waiting on somebody to make a move, like with Saturn stationing direct, it's just this energy around my life has to continue. Either you show up and make me a priority or this keeps going. And with Saturn stationing direct, I just want to say, particularly when it comes to love relationships, there's just this feeling within the cosmos around time is going by. Saturn's the planet of time. And so if you've been stuck in this sort of Neptunian zone where you've had this crush and it's not really going anywhere and you're just like waiting and waiting, with Saturn stationing, it's just this energy around, is this crush helping me progress towards what it is that I want to build, or is it just kind of like keeping me stagnant? And do I want to wait? Because I just want to say, and some of you might think this is insane if you've never been in a situation like this, but it's worth saying that if any of you have been kind of in this Neptunian zone, you've been in a relationship that is very spiritual, it's very, very telepathic, but it's not showing up within the 3D. It's like there's like past lives, or there's like a telepathic thing, or you're seeing their name everywhere, you're seeing their birthday everywhere, you're feeling very connected to a soulful level, but you're looking at your reality and you're like, but you're not showing up within the 3D. It's like I feel so connected to you within other realms, but you're not showing up here. Like I said, when it comes to Neptune energy, that can be fuel. Seriously, that can help you catalyze the next level of your spiritual growth. Like oftentimes interacting with people like that who you do have these like soul ties with, oftentimes is an initiation for your next level. So your job is to figure out, what is this initiating me into? Is it a next level of my creativity? Is it helping me pivot my career change? Is it up-leveling my spiritual growth? Is it for my next album? Like your job is to figure out, okay, why was this person put into my reality to stir up all these feelings within me? And putting that fuel towards efforts within your practical reality with Saturn stationing direct. But if some of you are getting kind of tired, you're like, there's all of this connection within like the 5D, but here they're not showing up. With Saturn stationing direct, it's almost this energy around like time's going by, and this is taking a lot of my time and energy being so connected to you within this way. And with Saturn direct, it's this energy around I've got to focus on what it is that I want to create. Like Neptunian sort of connections can be so powerful, it can be so inspiring, but if you're getting tired, you're like, it's not showing up within the physical reality, and I want something that meets me here within this physical reality. There can be something stirring within the cosmos around wanting to move forward in some sort of way. So that's probably just a message for one person out there, something that I wanted to share. And with Saturn stationing direct, other themes, it's really consequences, good or bad, catching up. right? Like what it is that we've put effort towards this year. With Saturn revisiting those degrees, it's like starting to see some of the fruits of that labor. So again, if you've been working tirelessly on something and you're like frustrated because it just feels like the efforts haven't caught up, now with Saturn stationing direct, Mr. Saturn may give you your constellation prize or give you your ribbon for doing your due diligence, right? But like I said, if you've been shady, Saturn can catch up there as well. What it is that we reap, we sow. And it's our responsibility to live our life with as much integrity as possible. Not just because Saturn's stationing direct, like technically always, but Saturn direct just reminds us that if you are a good person with good intentions, you will be rewarded. And I know that's hard to believe sometimes because this world feels so dark and it feels like people who are very corrupt get ahead. But I just want to say, with Saturn stationing direct, you have the gift of being able to sleep at night. You have the gift to be able to have peace within your soul, which is truly a wealth. So if there was any temptation within you to want to like cheat to get ahead, or to do something shady, or to throw someone under the bus to get ahead, just remember the planet karma is switching directions. And even if humans don't see it, Mr. Saturn does. Or at least is reflecting it, right? So make the decisions that you would be proud of. Like if your life was a movie and we all had to watch, like, would you be proud of it? And again, that's not me saying every single action needs to be perfect, but making decisions that are in alignment with, like I said, not just who it is that you are now, but also the future you, the role that you want to embody, the person you want to be, the morals you want to stand by, the integrity you want to have. Sometimes it does mean making the hard decisions. Sometimes it does mean taking the hard way, even if it would be easier to cut corners in some sort of way. But there is a unique sort of solace when you're able to genuinely sit with yourself and just feel at peace. None of us are perfect. We all have bad days, but there is a particular gift around being able to sit strong within your moral compass, within knowing that you have tried your best to be your kindest, to try to ease the suffering of others, to try to help out when you are able to try to stay in your lane, to try to help the planet when you are able to. Like, there is a particular solace when you can rest easy with your soul and with the person that you are, with the values that you have, the roles that you uphold that are important to your soul. Like, there's a particular amount of peace that gives. And with Saturn direct, it's just allowing yourself to rest easy within that. Around if you're feeling frustrated, people aren't seeing the hard work that you've been investing or seeing your efforts to be a kind, compassionate person. I just want you to know your time is coming, okay? Saturn's the planet of time, so it might come a little slow, but it's coming, okay? Your efforts are not going wasted. And also on Saturday, we have Mercury opposite Uranus. So this is the record scratch moment. You might wake up with a message from somebody. Like I said, Neptune can be very dreamy and imaginative to strangers, but also like romanticizing exes or the one who got away, right? So you might get a text where it's like, huh? I haven't heard from you in years. What are you doing in my phone? How do you still have my number? Like, there could be a message that you receive that's very much a record scratch moment where it's like, I was not expecting to hear from you whatsoever. That can be one manifestation of this. Somebody could tell you a secret or accidentally blabber a secret. Honestly, with Mercury and Scorpio, definitely be mindful. Like I said, with the Neptune energy, don't, indulge too much in wine and start spilling secrets, okay? Mercury and Scorpio will not appreciate that. And with the opposition to Uranus, you could either be hearing something very unexpected or accidentally saying something that's very unexpected and be like, ooh, whoopsie, shouldn't have shared that piece of sacred info, my bad on that. But also just mentally, you could be feeling quite restless. Like, when we think about muses, like I said, it's like people who come into our orbit who just electrify our perspective and make us aligned with being able to, create beautiful art, or who, initiate us into a new level of our spiritual journey or into learning a new craft or things of that nature. Like, it's such a blessing to have people who come into your experience who do awaken your perspective and allow you to see things differently. And that's sort of echoed within Mercury opposite Uranus is, things can feel so regular and so mundane, and then somebody, is sitting by you in the park and everything changes. All of a sudden you're feeling so inspired to write a poem about this person who you think is writing a novella, but in actual reality is writing a Burger King application. Now, does that make the poem any less romantic? Who's to say? You decide. But I'm of the belief that when we are inspired, we're connecting to universal source energy and being a conduit, for something that is beautiful and bigger than ourselves. Celebrating those people who come into our lives and really electrify our perspective, where we see things differently, we see the world differently, right? And with Mercury opposite Uranus, there can be certain conversations that are a little unusual. On Saturday, like just meaning to go to the grocery store, somehow you're in the aisle talking about UFOs and you're like, what? How did this happen? Very out there sort of conversations and communications. And like I said, with the vibe check, this is like learning that it was a Burger King application. Again, this is unexpected. Not in terms that this is an out there thing in general, but this is not aligning with the idealized version of yourself that I had projected you to be. And that's the thing about Uranus, is that we have to give people the space and the grace to be who it is that they are. That man was just filling out a Burger King application, like let him live. You broke your own heart by projecting all of these things and falling in love with this poet version of him. That's not him. He was seeking employment at a fast food chain. Like, it's not him. It doesn't mean that he's not someone who's worthy of getting to know. But with Mercury opposite Uranus, also allowing other people to be their own selves, even if it doesn't align with, I wish you were like this. Because again, the downside of Venus and Virgo opposing Neptune is wanting people to be perfect or to be that idealized version of who we want them to be, the one who doesn't leave their gym socks on the ground or whatever it is. And with Mercury opposite Uranus, like not accepting them just being their own selves. Like with Mercury opposite Uranus, yes, someone might tell you something kind of out of pocket. Your mind could be feeling kind of out of pocket and restless, but the energy of Uranus is just allowing everybody to march the beat of their own drum, to be who it is that they are. It might be unexpected for the role that you've cast them in within the movie of your life, but alas, their role is developing and you have to allow them the space and the grace to develop it. On Saturday at 12:21 a.m., the moon enters Leo, which is bold, it's heart-centered, it's confident, and the moon squares Jupiter. So because the sun opposing Jupiter aspect is separating, there's sort of like a fixed T-square. So all I want to say is, again, just being conscious with that energy around feeling a little bit too big for our britches, because there's a difference between faking it till you make it, right, versus legitimately falsifying information. Like that is something to be cautious of, because again, Saturn's direct. So I'm not saying you should walk into a hospital and fake it till you make it to be a surgeon. Like that's not what I'm saying at all. There totally is a difference there. And on Saturday, we might be being a little bit more grandiose in regards to our own self to self, or dealing with people who are a little more grandiose in theirs and stubborn in regards to their own perspective with all this fixed energy. So on Sunday, November 5th, if you are somewhere where you have daylight savings time, I want to let you know to change your clocks on Sunday. And this officially shifts the time zone that I'll be giving from PDT to PST. So now we're to standard time because daylight savings time ends, which I'm sad about because now it starts getting dark here at like 5 p.m., which makes it very hard for my walks. But alas, just wanted to highlight that the times may be different. You'll want to look them up in terms of PST because our times shift. It's a whole thing. Okay, and with the Neptunian energy, sometimes Neptune energy can be kind of sleepy, kind of out of it, not being sure what's real. That could just be coded with this weekend. I always feel that when the time changes. It's like, what is real? Like yesterday, this was 6 p.m. Today it's 5 p.m. That's why Lydia can't come for me if I respond to her message in October from May. Because it's like, time is not real. We're changing our clocks. We're manipulating time anyway. Sunday is the last quarter moon. So this is official check-in point from the Taurus lunar eclipse. Hopefully you've already commented below how that went for you. If any major illuminations came to surface, how you celebrated. If you did, if any haters came for you. I'm just kidding. Choose peace. Choose peace. Always. But when it comes to last quarter moon, there can be kind of a check-in around what it is that we are ready to release, that lunation kind of brought to the surface. This is a crisis of spirit moon phase, so sometimes there can be certain existential crises, especially with this energy of Scorpio around what means something to me. Like again, Saturn stationing, it's the planet of time, it's moving direct, so there can be just a reverberation of time this weekend where it's like time is going by. Like there are things that I want to do. There are experiences I want to have. Do you want to have them with me or not? Or this energy around what am I waiting for? Like my life is passing me by, I need to go. And like, what is the meaning of it all? Just with the last quarter moon around time is going by and what am I really doing with it? Like there just can be this energy of existentialism kind of plaguing. Honestly, Sunday, it's like early, like 1:37 a.m. This energy around what am I doing? Who am I doing it with? What means something to me? There could just be a little bit of a crisis energy, but let's be real, it's Scorpio season. The entire energy is kind of plagued with some crisis, but that can kind of peak on Sunday. Let me just say that we have a lot of the cosmos in fixed signs right now, which can be very stubborn and hard-headed. And the Leo moon kind of activates the beef between all of them. So the Leo moon squares Mars, who's combust right now. So we might be mad and not even sure what we're mad at. with Mars being burned out by the sun. Moon squares Uranus, so we're feeling restless, everything is wrong. And with square to Mercury, feeling very mentally restless. Like I said, with Mercury opposite Uranus, you could feel more stressed or having unusual thoughts or just feeling more so like all over the place. So really important to ground down. And yes, Saturn can sometimes be a little scary with its threatening reminder that time is going by and time is of the essence and what is it that you're building and who is it that you want to be. But remember to honor the inverse of time, because you can feel that panic around, oh, time is going by, I need to get to the next step of my journey. But there can also be a reminder of time around this time is sacred and special, and I need to soak it up and soak in this chapter as much as possible and be as present as possible within this chapter. So just really befriending time this weekend is really the ask, with Saturn reverberating in the air. Editing Haley here. Did I mention that Neptune energy tends to make us a little dreamy, a little out there, i.e. a little forgetful? If I didn't mention it, I'm mentioning it here because I did indeed forget to record the Magic Monday mantra of the week. So this week's mantra to be an anchor point as you navigate this week's astrology is I romanticize my life and I actualize my dreams. Again, there is this blend of fantasy and reality, and where fantasy can bolster reality via inspiration, via taking elements of what it is that we daydream about and pulling it into our everyday existence. Simultaneously, there's also this energy around taking energy of essentially our reality to also bolster our fantasies, like pulling in these otherworldly qualities within our everyday, going to the park and listening to romantic music and wearing the clothes that feel not of this world, and really taking opportunities to make our lives a very work of art. So playing with that balance as you navigate this week's astrology. So my loves, that is our week. We have made it to the end of our forecast with the pink wig on and all. So if you made it to the end, go ahead and let me know by commenting below your favorite pink emoji or using the word pink within a sentence. I always love to see what you guys come up with. Thank you so much for tuning into the special Magic Monday Halloween edition. I hope that you have a wonderful, dreamy, yet balanced in reality sort of week. I'll see you here next Sunday, same time, same place. Sending you much love, and until we meet again, drink lots of water and stay